diabolical terrorist Yasin Malik is to rot in jail for the rest of his sordid life. Yes, his charmed existence bestowed upon him by the patronage of the Lutyens ecosystem has for the time been cut short by the Indian legal system. While announcing the quantum of sentence, the court said that the man waged war against the idea of India with the aim of succeeding J&K from the Union in India with the help of Pakistan, but that he never expressed even a modicum of regret. Viewers, he has been convicted for funding terror today and sentenced to a life in prison. At least 12 sections of the law have been slapped against him. Section 121 of the IPC, waging war against India, life imprisonment and a 10,000 rupee fine. Section 17 of the UAPA, again life imprisonment and a 10 lakh fine. This is punishment for raising funds for an act of terror. Section 18 of the UAPA, Section 20 of the UAPA, Section 13 of the UAPA, all of these carry between 10 to 5 years in jail. Section 38 of the UAPA, association with terror group, this is 5 years in jail and 5,000 fine. Section 39 of the UAPA, support to terror organization, 5 years in jail, 5,000 rupees in fine. 120B, which is punishment for criminal conspiracy, 10 years in jail, 10,000 rupee fine. Section 121A of the IPC, which is conspiracy to wage war against India, again 10-year jail and 10,000 rupee fine. So viewers, some of these sentences will be running concurrently, but because he has been sentenced to life in at least 2 sections of the IPC, he is going to have to spend the remainder of his life in Tihar jail. One hopes he is not shifted to a jail in Kashmir, because there we know, viewers, in the past at least, things have changed of course now, but in the past terrorists have got special favors and enjoy a special status. While all this is also true, while this man is going to be rotting in jail for funding terror, for associating with Pakistan, for being part of a terror group, it is also true that Malik plotted a pogrom against Hindus and presided over a genocide 32 years ago, a crime for which he hasn't ever been tried. This is a travesty, and Kashmiri Hindus, while happy, are underwhelmed and are now demanding death for committing crimes against humanity. Remember, viewers, this man and his associate Bitta Karate are on camera admitting that they spread and fanned the fires of bigotry in the Kashmir Valley. They were the reasons why lakhs of Kashmiri Hindus had to leave. The ethnic cleansing in Kashmir is unparalleled anywhere in this country. Viewers, however, Malik got away. He got away with genocide. Can you believe it? In democratic, law-abiding, constitutional, democratic India. The reason that Malik got away for the horrendous crimes against humanity is because he was cosseted, protected, shielded, patronized, backed, call it what you want to, by a pseudo-liberal ecosystem that turned him into an icon of passive resistance. They fed off this narrative. They became spokespersons for the Kashmir cause. They represented India. Viewers, can you believe it? They represented India in high-profile conferences around the world. It was a cottage industry that went on for about 15 years after the genocide. A large number of these terrorists that somehow were given a chance, that presided over the genocide, turned themselves into separatists. In fact, Malik got so carried away by the adulation, he even compared himself to Mahatma Gandhi. He was a regular staple of certain media channels. Editors ate out of the palm of his hand as he spread viewers, about what should happen in Kashmir, who should be part of the talks process, which politician should get whose vote. He became a midwife for some of these individuals and also at times for the Indian state. The NDA won, gave him a passport. And viewers, the UPA under Dr. Manmohan Singh rolled out the red carpet. There are pictures of him with Dr. Manmohan Singh shaking hands, exchanging notes. That's the video on your screens. Viewers, let me tell you what has been said by people like Omar Abdullah, Mehbooba Mufti, People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration. The Yasins that got inspired by this man, by Malik, are even now picking up the gun. Though there are fewer in number, but they're killing innocent Muslims who serve India, who want to serve the constitution of the land, and also are targeting the remaining few Kashmiri Hindus who decided to stick it out in Kashmir, viewers. Despite this, the Omar Abdullahs, Mehbooba Muftis, who constantly breastbeat about violence in Kashmir, have come out again today in support of Yasin Malik. What did the People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration, this bunch, this motley crew of India baiters and self-professed liberals, what did they say? Life term a setback for the efforts for peace. Will fuel more alienation and separatist feelings. Court has delivered its verdict but not justice. Today, literally a handful of people got together outside the house of Yasin Malik, protested a little bit and threw a few stones and left. A vast majority of Kashmiris are happy that this man is going to stew and rot in jail. Mehbooba Mufti says hanging people will not yield any solution. Muscular policy will have adverse effects. Omar Abdullah, the champion of human rights, viewers, liberal democracy in this country, says convict has the right to approach a higher court. What Malik will do or not do is his prerogative. He couldn't even bring himself to condemn this man for waging war against the Indian state. This is what we're up against. These genocide enablers are what we are up against, viewers. Remember, Yasin Malik has confessed to killing 4 IF officers in 1990. So, viewers, if someone picks up a gun and kills those patriots who are serving this country, what will that person be? Would he be a Gandhian? A youth icon? Or would he be a feckless terrorist? You think about it. The children of these officers now only have one demand. Khoon ka badla khoon se. That is what they say. That is what they say, viewers. Listen to the kin of these IF officers. Listen to them. Let's play it out.
Time and again I am requesting that in my case what I want with loud voice I can say, I can claim that there should be the same rule for all. खून का बदला खून. और इस केस में मैं यह कहूंगी जो जजेस ने अपना मुनासिब समझा फैसला देना, we must honor that and I honor.
Well, the order copy, the detailed order copy is only with Times Now, and I'm going to go straight across to Padmaja Joshi for more on this. Padmaja, the order is with you. What does it say?
remember, today morning in court, Yasin Malik said that after I put down the gun, I have been a political activist and I have largely been a non-violent person. Here is what the court says in great detail about that argument. Admittedly, the convict has been engaged in violent terrorist activities prior to 94. The claim of the convict is that he gave up the gun in 94 and thereafter was recognized as a legitimate political player, which is evident by the fact that the government of India engaged with him, etc. On the face of it, it seems to be a very sound argument, which would give an impression that the convict has already reformed. However, the judge says, in my opinion, there was no reformation. It may be correct that the convict may have given up the gun in 94, but he never expressed any regret for the violence he had committed prior to that year. It is to be noticed, and this is the important part, it is noticed that when he claimed to have given up the path of violence, the government of India took it upon its face value, gave him an opportunity to reform in good faith. However, as discussed in the order on charge, the convict did not desist from violence. Rather, betraying the good intentions of the government, he took a different path to orchestrate violence in the guise of political struggle. The convict has claimed he followed Gandhian principle of non-violence and was spearheading a peaceful non-violent struggle. However, the evidence on the basis of which charges were and to which he's pleaded guilty, the entire movement was planned to be a violent movement, and large-scale violence ensued is a matter of fact. This was no Gandhi. He used politics as a cover for spreading violence.
Wonder why. Thank you, Padmaja. Wonder why the government gave him the benefit of the doubt in the first place. That's a fundamental question. And it's just not the government, viewers, and I want to move on and I want to show you some facts tonight of how an ecosystem allowed this man to get away with genocide. Let's put those graphics out. November 2009, he was invited to CSDS, yes, the bastion of liberalism, this social grouping, this think tank, where he was asked to give a speech on the future of Jammu and Kashmir, organized by Centre. Can you believe it, viewers? This man was going to lecture on the future of Jammu and Kashmir. Said after failing to get Azadi, realized Gandhian methods don't work. This is what he said. Author Arundhati Roy shakes hands with Yasin Malik in Delhi. This is March 2005, legitimizing him. Arundhati Roy shares a stage with Yasin and Gilani in 2010 also. Arundhati Roy said India has become a colonizing power in Kashmir. Historical fact that Kashmir has never been integral to India. This is 2010. These are the people, viewers, who either were indoctrinated in some way by these people or presented themselves as their intellectual mentors and then pivoted off them to go and speak in universities abroad, perhaps for fees. I don't know, viewers. I don't know. 2017, activist and author Kuldeep Nair recalls visits to Yasin Malik. True, Yasin has turned what is called a separatist, he noted. But I vainly waited for word for him of this visit. He goes on, viewers. Got him to end fast unto death and probe charges he made. This is what Kuldeep Nair said, a senior journalist, viewers, a doyen as he was held up to be. So there are many such examples, and I want to ask some basic questions tonight, viewers. Are Yasin's backers, all these people, genocide enablers? It's an open question. I don't ever mince my words here on India Upfront, and I'm asking this question. Are they genocide enablers? And I want to bring in Sushil Pandit first, a person who experienced firsthand the depravities of this diabolical puppet of Pakistan and Islamist bigot. I want to ask you, Mr. Pandit, are the people who ensured that he got a clean chit for genocide, genocide enablers? Simple question. And who are these? Name them tonight.
Thank you, Rahul. So, it is really painful. We've tried him charges of terror funding. Today, we must ask ourselves, how much of Indian taxpayers' money was funneled to him? And who decided that he should get that money? Who decided that he should be given a clemency, an unannounced and unwritten clemency on the brutal murder of our Air Force officer, which he carried out 32 years ago? Because the case has dragged on and literally folded up. 2008, since there were no hearings, till date, no charge sheet filed in that case. Who decided that he should get a passport and then travel the world and besmirch India's reputation in campus after campus in United States, where he was taken on the pretext of getting treated for his ailments? Who decided that he should be allowed to go to Pakistan and sup with Hafiz Saeed in public? Who decided that this man must not be punished for the genocide for which he was actually arrested in February 2019? Nobody should forget that in 2019 February, our Home Secretary, then Home Secretary and now Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Rajiv Gauba, announced his arrest, saying he was responsible for the genocide of Kashmiri Pandits. This is written on the press release of Home Ministry, released by none other than the then Home Secretary, who's the Cabinet Secretary now. What happened to that charge? I don't see him tried for that charge here. I don't see even a reference to those gruesome, heinous crimes he committed. And are we supposed to celebrate this verdict? It has taken 32 years too late in coming. It still prevaricates. It still talks about some funding, some belonging to an organization. Can you imagine it took till 2019 for the JKLF to be banned? The organization survived banning for 3 decades after turning us out in 1990. So am I supposed to hold Pakistan responsible, Jihad responsible? Don't I have questions to ask of my own state? Successive governments, successive prime ministers, successive coalitions who've ruled over us, who've given him clemency, who've given him photo ops with prime ministers, who's gone around the world, married in Pakistan, begotten a child. Who am I to ask all these questions of? Because when my own state gave him the fat of the land to become a tycoon, this school dropout street urchin of a man who was soaked in our blood from top to bottom became a tycoon under the patronage of my state, who was supposed to punish them. What am I supposed to celebrate today? This is perfidy. Somebody should be tried for high treason, and that somebody should not be just Yasin Malik, but those who fated him, who gave him a long robe, who turned him into an icon, and even those media organizations who declared him to be the youth icon of India, in a conclave no less. Good you reminded us of CSDS. We must also be reminded of those high and mighty editors of different magazines and channels.
Yes.
Who should be hiding somewhere today. It is a collapse of an entire system. Criminal justice system, political system, our social discourse system, everywhere, wherever this man was given access to and turned into an icon today, needs to turn itself, turn inwards and ask, how did this happen?
How did this happen? How did this happen are the questions. And Mr. Srivastav, you might find this amusing. You know, I can see the smirk that is dancing on your lips, and I find it reprehensible. And I don't think it's in good faith. Your outfit, the left parties, yes. Your colleague, Mr. Tarigami, etc., yes. Even today, are saying that it's a mistake to put this man behind bars.
Yes. Now let me speak. Please,
no. So I want to ask you a basic question.
Yeah.
are you not guilty of enabling a genocide? You supported the Dr. Manmohan Singh government in 2004, at least the first installment of the UPA, almost till the signing of the nuclear deal, 2009. And you had no qualms about Dr. Manmohan Singh shaking hands with this man. You didn't have a problem. You didn't have a problem with Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Gave this man a passport. No problems. You had no problems, sir, when he was made a stakeholder in the peace process. You had no problems when your own boss, Sitaram Yachuri, landed up at his doorstep and that of Mr. Gilani to embrace him. You had no problems. Genocide enablers? You have no problems?
I'm very clear about it. We had no problems, sir. But then give me adequate time. You gave Mr. Pandit a lot of time.
Yes.
So give me an adequate time to respond.
Are you a genocide enabler? Are you a genocide enabler?
Absolutely not. I'm a man who believes that the country should stabilize. Whether it is the Punjab problem, it is the Urfa in Assam, it is the Gorkha land problem, it is the Mizo front or the Naga problem or the Tamil Elam. Rehabilitation of people who are willing to give up arms is a process, and that has been done in all the states, not only Kashmir. If people are willing to come back into the process, talk to us, talk to the government, be a part, they have to be welcomed. If people endorse Gandhi and say, yes, we are going to leave the arms and we believe in non-violence, we have to welcome them. We have done it in the Punjab also. If we had not gone for the rehabilitation problem, the problem would not have solved. Korea had to be included and made a part in the law because of the necessity of the time. Today in 2022, you cannot go into the reconstruction and say that, look, talk to Yasin Malik, talk to Gilani, look, these guys are all separatists, the entire left is separatist. It is the wrong narrative. I have full sympathies with what Mr. Pandit is talking of. I have full sympathies with all the Kashmiri Pandits. What happened was bad. But instead of concentrating on their rehabilitation, we have Kashmir files, which comes, which goes. Mr. Agnihotri makes his money. Mr. Anupam Kher enjoys his
Vivek
life.
Srivastava, can I ask you a small couple of questions? A counter question, if you don't mind?
Sure.
What if tomorrow the Maoists, terrorists, decide that they have given up their gun and they now, after having butchered hundreds of CRPF Jawans, Cobras, forces, say, okay, ho gaya ab, now we've lived enough of the jungle life, now we want to have caviar and champagne and become, champagne liberals and sit in bungalows. Would you say that is also okay? Number one. Number two, absolutely okay. Fair enough, Vivek Srivastava, then will you extend the same courtesy, to those you claim are militant Hindu terrorists who lynch Muslims? If tomorrow they say, okay, we also want to stop doing all of this and we submit ourselves, we are now peaceniks, will you say even that is okay?
Okay. So, I mean, you are trying to tell me that Mr. Modi, who signed the Nagaland Accord, is wrong. He should not have signed the accord.
Mr. Vivek Srivastava,
the failed Longowal Accord.
Mr. Vivek Srivastava, yes, the Longowal Accord led to a lot of problems. The Longowal Accord, listen, I have one particular rule, do not compromise with terror.
I mean, nobody is compromising with terror, but if people are willing to leave the terror...
I'm sorry, no one is leaving the terror. This man continued. This man continued. You know that. And none of your governments, it was a known fact, sir. Don't lie about it. It was a known fact. It was a known fact. So then if you're not lying about it, then why don't you come clean and say, yes, we look the other way?
No, he's open to go to a higher court.
Okay, higher court, and he should go to the higher court.
Yes. He should appeal.
Right, of course, everyone's entitled to an appeal. But I find it astounding, viewers, today, that Vivek Srivastava and company have such concerns about Yasin Malik's right to remedy. Fair enough, it's okay, sir. You're only exposing yourself. General G.D. Bakshi, how do you react to this specimen here who is putting out these, very strange pretexts for rehabilitating Yasin Malik, the perpetrator of the only genocide that has taken place after partition? Viewers, General Bakshi.
Rahul, let me be upfront. Today, all of us soldiers are feeling deeply hurt that a value judgment has been passed on the sanctity of military lives. One squadron leader, 3 of the airmen were shot in cold blood by this man and his cohorts. He killed a judge who had passed strictures against terrorism. He orchestrated ethnic cleansing exercise, an exercise in genocide which led to the expulsion of 5 to 6 lakh Kashmiri Hindus from Jammu and Kashmir. And all that he gets is, he gets away with these so-called life imprisonment, right? The simple fact is that I do think that the government of India, that the prosecution must contest this judgment in higher courts. There are other cases against him. I'm given to understand that the case of the Air Force officers was not before this court. I'm given to understand that the case of genocide was not before the court. So kindly take them up. The ends of justice demand that. Kindly take those up. Now, Rahul, I'd like to give a little bit of a background on how this man has played the system.
Do you have the same opinion
Robin Raphael.
No, counter question coming to you. General counter question from Vivek.
Sir, I don't think you have a right to talk over everybody else.
About those youth from Punjab who took a wrong path and finally they were rehabilitated? You don't believe in the process of rehabilitation, General? You don't believe in the Naga Accord which Modi government just signed? You don't believe in the Mizo Accord?
Now can I answer? Or am I supposed to get a 1 hour long lecture?
Please. No, there's not a question of lecture. I asked you a question.
Look, when there is a genuine, when there is a genuine change of heart and the subsequent conduct shows that there has been a change of heart, well then surrenders are okay. They have happened before, they will happen again. But when you surrender ostensibly and then you are busy in terrorist funding, you are busy in furthering the agenda of a hostile intelligence agency called the ISI. You are engaged in trying to incite and arouse.
All I'm saying is,
right? Then I'm afraid that is not a genuine change of heart. That is no surrender. That is just trying to come over ground and carry on the same agenda.
Sir, you cannot take over. You just cannot.
What was the necessity?
Start following.
What was the necessity?
It's not the way.
It's cowardice.
It's not the way to run a country.
It is cowardice to follow. It is cowardice to follow. It is cowardice to follow. Can I kindly have my say?
Right thing to do.
Can this gentleman?
No, one second. Let me just come in here. Vivek Srivastava, enough of your. No, 1 second. General Saab, 1 second. Enough, Vivek Srivastava, of your whataboutery. The man takes a passport from a pliable Indian government, lands up in Pakistan and shares the stage not with Jemima Goldsmith,
with Hafiz Saeed?
But with Hafiz Saeed. Not with some Pakistan peacenik. But viewers, the father of anti-India terror, a man who is sworn to waging Ghazwa-e-Hind, to flying the Islamist flag over our country, who has a problem with the idea of India, its secularism, its openness. And Vivek Srivastava says that we were indulging all of this because we were giving peace a chance. Sir, were you blinded by your love for votes and appeasement?
No, absolutely.
Oh, of course, absolutely not. You didn't see that a person who was hobnobbing with a terrorist and going and visiting, and going and sharing stage with a dictator in Pakistan.
Sir, I don't understand. If you can
one second. And the generals there in Rawalpindi, what do you think he was doing there?
Sir,
Shelling peace.
All I'm saying is.
No, what do you all you're saying. This is ridiculous. I mean, are you today, sir, committed to the breakup of our country? Are you part? Oh yes, of course you are.
If you can,
you have a faction of your political party that stands in JNU and says Bharat.
Rahul, I have a point to make.
Yes, General Sir, make your point. I can't.
Rahul, I have a point
hearing.
to make.
I can't believe. I can understand. Someone said I've given up the gun, but I will work honestly to bring peace to this country. I will give up my separatism. He didn't do that.
So we should not talk to anyone.
We should not.
Pakistan on any issue.
Unless they, no sir, we are
not
a weak state.
No, we should not talk to turncoats and traitors.
Exactly. General Bakshi.
We should not talk to turncoats and traitors. Now, Rahul, I request that I be allowed to say my piece without being heckled by this man. He's been disrupting this debate. The simple fact is, this man, as a communist, is a great American hater. May I remind him who was the force behind this man, Yasin Malik? It was Robin Rafal. You heard that name?
Yeah,
she was the lady who from the American State Department insisted that the elections that we had held in Jammu and Kashmir in 1994, 95, 96 were not valid. She wanted us to cohort with the likes of Yasin Malik and Gilani. She is the one who more or less mothered the Hurriyat.
Let me also.
And because of that, not only did the ISI continue to pay him, even the Indian establishment bent over backwards because of that American. Robin Rafal, the people that you hate and deride so much. Today you are supporting them. Today you are supporting the Robin Rafals of the world.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these people are turncoats, ideological turncoats. Let me open this up. Lokesh Jindal and the BJP. I want to bring them in now. General, give me 30 seconds here. Lokesh Jindal, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Look, in 2001, Yasin Malik is given a passport to travel abroad by the Vajpayee government. Vajpayee government is a coalition government. God knows what compulsions forced them to do that. Chalo, okay. They were voted out of power. You came promising change. But what do? Not only a passport, you decide, no, let's invite him to meet the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. 1 घंटे के लिए आप गुफ्तगू करते हैं one-on-one with a terrorist. You legitimize the person, no problems, okay. Maybe you wanted to strike some sort of deal, as Mr. Vivek Srivastava is saying, by giving the person a chance. But within a year of this, Yasin gets a stay on the trial in the IF massacre case, to which he had confessed. Okay, you were doing it to, at some level, further the interests of peace. In 2007, within 2 years of meeting Dr. Manmohan Singh, what does Yasin Malik do? He shares a stage with Hafiz Saeed in Pakistan. It's permitted by the UPA. They gave him a passport. Viewers, this is the level to which we were genuflecting before a man who committed genocide. Yes, viewers. These are facts. So I want to ask you, Lokesh Jindal, when you knew he was standing with Hafiz Saeed, India's most wanted, a person who 4 years later, 2 years later, in fact a year later, goes away and plots 26/11. What were you doing, sir, going with an olive branch to Yasin Malik in Gilani, in the valley? When you should have jailed this person, you were in power till 2014. Look at Jindal, you were rewarding anti-India terror, break India forces. Why?
Good evening, Rahul. See, when I'm talking about 2013, when he shared the stage, subsequently in 2014, when the Modi government came...
Sir, he shared the stage in 2007. Seven. Get your dates right.
2007. Yes. So 2014, when the Modi government came, it did not act. In fact, in 2016, when there was the Uri attack, following this, the NIA, it started initiating measures against Yasin Malik. And it was on 14th of February 2019 when the Pulwama attack occurred. In order to have some form of a face-saving mechanism, Yasin Malik's house was searched and subsequently a case was registered and he was arrested. And right now, when we are talking about Kashmir, look at the killings that are taking place. Bal Krishna Bhatt,
Two wrongs make a right. Lokesh Jindal, two wrongs make a right.
On 13th of May, after he is killed,
do two wrongs make a right?
Now the government wants to have some form of a face-saving mechanism, and it comes out with a verdict whereby he is being given a life sentence.
Fair
Look
enough.
at the situation of Jammu and Kashmir.
Fair enough.
Are Kashmiri Pandits
fair
safe?
enough.
No,
fair
they
enough.
are not.
No, 1 second. 1 second.
Inflation
Lokesh
is more than
Jindal,
8%.
do
Unemployment is more than 22%. There is unrest in Jammu and Kashmir, but no. All this government knows is the 56-inch ka China and Jumla with what? It only does is thereby deviating the entire concern, attention of the masses from the core issue and thereby manufacturing some form of conflict so as to deviate it and continue the show.
Viewers, today we've come to the position where the Congress party says that the government at the center manufactures the killing of Kashmiri Hindus, a conflict. They want to breed conflict to take attention away from the real issues. Now, viewers, the Congress party, even if one were to assume, is right about the NDA government. And some amount is right, viewers. Kashmiri Hindus are still being targeted. It doesn't take away from the original sin. Are we saying that two wrongs make a right, Lokesh Jindal?
But still, sir, what about
that you are taking the baton
forward?
Who
will give justice to Rahul Bhatt? Rahul Bhatt's father, Bittaji Bhatt, he himself asked the Modi government, is this how the government will take the Kashmiri Pandits back to home?
So 1 second. The
Modi government was very high upon the
Ghulam Nabi Azad, along with alliance partners like Sitaram Yechury, Sharad Yadav, etc., all land up to meet these separatists who are given security by the Indian state. And remember, viewers, for many years, Times Now has been calling out this farce, and it's played out across party lines. There's no doubt about it. But viewers, we don't even have politicians as honest today to say we messed up. Sorry. We enabled a genocide. Come clean. Without truth, there can be no reconciliation and there can certainly be no justice. I want to bring in Amit Malviya. Mr. Malviya, Lokesh Jindal has piled the entire blame on your doorstep and said that you've done nothing. Respond, please.
Okay, Rahul, if you could just give me a couple of minutes to make my point, because I've heard everybody very patiently. Look, you have to understand this entire conflict in Kashmir is almost 3 decades old, perhaps longer than that. It all started in a big way in 1989 and 1990. This man, along with Bitta Karate and few others, were those who led the carnage in the valley, the ethnic cleansing that we saw of the Kashmiri Pandits. It's quite unfortunate that for all these years, several governments at the center and at the state turned a blind eye to it. When these men were on camera and brazening it out, the state did not have the courage to act against them. I am glad that the Congress spokesperson today is shedding crocodile tears for the Kashmiri Hindus. It's a belated realization, but it's welcome nonetheless. But having said that, given the big lobby that was working to protect these people, including the former Prime Minister's office and big media houses in Delhi, who were feting and eulogizing these men who were killing, maiming and raping people for being Hindus, we have come a long way. This government under Prime Minister Modi has moved on all the cases against these people. And I want to make it very clear, this decision of life imprisonment is only for a limited case where he's being tried for terror funding. The charges of genocide, murder, particularly targeting squadron leader Khanna and the 3 airmen, which basically tantamounts to waging war against the state, are still to be heard. Now you can blame the judiciary, the slow tardy process, but the last 3 years in particular have been far quicker than the last 3 decades have been. So if you have to believe that something will be done, something tangible will be done, then it is this government, this administration that will ensure that justice is done. deliver. And lastly, Rahul,
no, but you also, let me tell you, Mr. Malviya, it's all great to give these sort of, pious homilies, but you tied up with the PDP, the same PDP that today comes out and says, no action should be taken against this. Hanging people will not yield any solution. Muscular policy will have an adverse effect. Is that the reason why you lost 2 vital years or whatever it was in prosecuting these gutter snipes, this Tukde lobby? Is that the reason why for 2.5 years you put off the abrogation of Article 370? Is that the reason why today not one Kashmiri Hindu can go to court because there is no case seeking justice?
Rahul, allow me to answer that.
Yeah, tell me.
Allow me to answer that. We are often asked about our alliance with the PDP. You have to understand that the alliance with the PDP gave us an insight into the working of the J&K administration. And immediately after we pulled out of our alliance with the PDP, we revoked 370. And it is the same PDP that said कि यहाँ पे कोई हिंदुस्तान का झंडा उठाने के लिए नहीं रहेगा, खून की नदियां बहेंगी. And we still went ahead and removed 370.
Is that a valid excuse for tying up with the PDP to get an insight into the, what did you say, the workings of J&K?
You are right, because there were governments after governments in J&K which were using the state administration to perpetuate a certain narrative there. There were people in bureaucracy, in administration, in police and in civil administration.
They needed to tie up with the PDP to get the lie of the land, to expose all of those who were conspiring against the Indian state because they couldn't see them for what they were. Sushil Pandit responding to you, Mr. Malviya. Let's hear.
Rahul, it is so of writing. Hence, I would like to know what insights did you learn about J&K in those 3 years of alliance? What were the insights? Was J&K some alien territory ruled by some aliens and you didn't know what the rules of governance are, what the systems and procedures are, how bureaucracy works, how policy works? I mean, what rubbish? Do you think we have enough wool in our head to pull some over our eyes every now and then to justify your
respond to that, Rahul.
sins? When you betrayed your own ideology, when you betrayed your founding principles in politics. Even Prime Minister during the course of the campaign admitted to this mistake and said, "Yo hamari mahamilawat thi," but the minions on the show keep justifying it. That is galling. They should take cue from their own leader who's admitted to it, who said mea culpa, who actually confessed that this was a blunder and moved on. But the spokespersons didn't get the message. It is about time you actually took some kind of...
Mr. Amit Malviya, before I bring in Javed Beg. Yes, Amit Malviya,
you made penance for this.
You know, I have a lot of sympathy for Mr. Pandit. I have seen him on television espousing the cause of Kashmiri Hindus for as long as I can remember. He has grayed in all these years. But he will remain an unthankful man and not acknowledge the effort that this government has put in to ensure that the Kashmiri Hindus get justice. That is the problem with activists like him. He is telling us
what efforts have been made? Amit Malviya, show me one case that has been filed. Show me one case that has been filed. Hang on. I'm not going to. One second. You tell me one case that has been filed to give Kashmiri Hindus justice for what they lost. Case, name it.
Let's start with Yasin Malik. This man was meeting the Prime Minister of India when
Forget that, I'm asking you. Forget that, I'm asking you.
I am telling you.
Why hasn't Yasin Malik been tried? Why hasn't he been tried? Excuse me, Mr. Malviya, please. Let's keep this on facts, okay? Let's not go back in history. Let's talk about which case has Yasin Malik been tried for his role in the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus? Name one.
Please tell me one thing. is the murder of the squadron leader and the airmen not in the court?
That is another case. I'm talking about the main genocide of Kashmiri Hindus. Just name me one case.
I have named you one case.
Which case?
He's being tried for genocide. There are several cases.
There are no genocide cases, sir. There are no genocide cases. Please, there are no genocide cases. There are no genocide cases. Please, let's be honest. There are none. There is no case where Yasin Malik has been tried for genocide.
Well, they are in the court.
Okay, sir.
No, listen. No, Rahul. Are you telling me that this man has been convicted for life because the government did not do anything and it has happened on its own?
I'm not saying that. He's been convicted. He has been convicted for... Are you telling
me that?
No, Amit Malviya, he has been convicted in a terror funding case. There is no case for genocide. There is not even a commission. There is not even a commission.
Not done anything.
There is not even a commission. General Bakshi is raising his hand. Let me bring him in.
That's not the point.
No, there is a point. That is the point. No, you talk about, sorry. You talk about, you see, you can frown at me, you can get excited. I'm only asking you. You give me A case or B case where genocide, the crimes against the Hindus has been commissioned in court, has been
in the court, both on the genocide.
Okay,
as well
General
as
Bakshi, let's get back Mr. Pandit on this. Let's ask him. 1 minute, General Bakshi. Yes, General Bakshi, I want to be told which is the case where Yasin Malik is being tried for the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus. You tell me. You served in Kashmir.
Look, Rahul, I think the government would do itself great service if it announced right away that the murder of the 4 Air Force personnel, starting with Squadron Leader Ravi Khanna and the 3 airmen, will be pursued in courts. That is a separate court, separate case. He has answered only for a part of his sins.
Absolutely.
The rest are not forgotten.
Sushil Pandit,
I think that needs to be said.
Can you name, because Amit Malviya is saying that there are several cases of genocide against Hindus that are pending in court. You know, viewers, there's one by Mr. Tikku. In that, तारीख पे तारीख पे तारीख पे तारीख लगती है. One case.
So you admit
Sushil
that the case, isn't it?
Sushil, it's not been filed by you, sir. It has been filed by Mr. Tikku. Nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you.
What do you mean by nothing to do with you?
Nothing to do with you.
The case is moved. The successive governments in the past did not even facilitate these cases.
Sushil Pandit. Sushil Pandit. Respond.
Satish murder case is contested in the court by his family, not by the government. It has been initiated by his elder brother. Please don't take away the credit where
the government is facilitating that.
Facilitating?
Do you understand
in what way, sir, are you facilitating it?
Oh, please, are you saying that the previous governments did not do enough to beat those matters?
My dear friend, Mr. Malviya, the cases were closed
Rahul,
in 2000. No, one second. In the 90s and 2007, cases were closed.
They were never heard.
These cases were closed. Yasin Malik got clemency virtually.
There was a genocide in the valley.
Look, Mr. Malviya.
Murder has to be prosecuted by the state, not by the victim's family.
Absolutely. I mean,
Let us be clear.
What are we saying here? We've turned law upside down. Anyhow, Mr. Javed Beg.
We haven't.
Okay, fair enough, we haven't.
There is a recognition.
Yes, there is a recognition that, you know, Kashmiri Hindus must fight their own cases. There's a recognition for that. Great, sir. Thank you. Salute you for that. Let me bring in Mr. Javed Beg. Mr. Javed Beg, I want you to answer me. Simple question tonight. A simple question. You have seen the way Yasin Malik was legitimized by a lobby in the Kashmir Valley. They called him a Gandhian type personality, an icon of peace. Who are these people? Who are these people?
It is Congress and National Conference who, provided patronage to him. You know, sometimes we need to ask questions to ourselves. Law has taken its own course, and the sentence pronounced nobody and nothing is above law. But then why did it take 3 decades? Because he has committed these sins three decades ago. So why did it take 3 decades to realize or to accept his sins? So there was something wrong with the system Congress had established. There was something wrong with the system National Conference and its alliance partners have established in Kashmir.
Viewers,
that's why he was given patronage every time.
Viewers, it's an important point that Javed Beg is making.
Given so much respect.
Okay, so much respect.
Congress. It's not about Yasin Malik
and the National Conference.
Likes of Yasin Malik.
Likes of Yasin Malik, says Javed Beg, Congress and the National Conference. Today, viewers, we can make a new beginning. And Mr. Amit Malviya, I hope, sir, you will contribute by setting up a commission first to examine the genocide against Kashmiri Hindus and then help all those in court who are fighting these lonely battles by providing them the evidence and the proof.
That's exactly what we are doing.
Okay.
And you don't seem to think it's enough.
You
That's
don't think it's enough. Okay. Well, because sir, these people have been left alone. Nonetheless.
I'm telling you we are doing it, you're saying it's not enough.
Okay, fair enough. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
Government's involvement.
You're doing a lot. There's no commission. Is there a commission?
Well, the commission was established and that commission denied that there was a genocide. We are undoing all of that.
How?
We are undoing
has a new commission been set up? That commission has not been set up. Let me tell you, viewers, the Lieutenant Governor of Kashmir didn't even go to meet for 36 hours the family of Rahul Bhatt. 36 hours. It was after Times Now began to ask the question, he went.
He did clarify the reason why he could not make it and everything that he's done for the family.
I know the reasons. I know the reasons.
The government,
I'm sorry, there are protests breaking out right now of Kashmiri Hindus in the valley day after day.
And the genocide they have faced.
Amit Malviya, there are Kashmiri Hindus who have written letters to the LG saying, please take us out of the Kashmir valley. Now it's a moot point. We don't want them to leave the Kashmir valley, as the government says, because that would mean conceding space to terrorists. We don't want that. I've already brought out the facts for you viewers. The left, the National Conference, the Congress, the PDP, even till date, want to give terrorists a chance. Yes, this government ensured that Yasin Malik goes to jail, no doubt. No one can take that away. But that's only half the work. We've only begun the work. We need to go the full mile. Mr. Malviya may not like what I'm saying, but that is the pressing need. We need more Yasins in Tihar jail, spending the rest of their life or hanging from the gallows. One cannot be the exception. It should be the norm. I leave it at this, viewers.